Hey, you have Sarah here, Embolden Adventures. I am speaking to you. As you know, this is an ongoing video series where I am in Iquitos, Peru, well, in the middle of the Amazon jungle, close to Iquitos, but not quite Iquitos. And I'm participating in 7 ayahuasca ceremonies with this retreat center. I am part of an international group from around the world, obviously international, and there's 23 of us that have convened here in Peru to be part of this 2-week retreat. We've come for all reasons, all different sort of reasons, individual reasons, and also reasons that we want to give forward to the world and everything else in between. And so, as you know, I'm coming here more for curiosity, and I felt there was a series of coincidences that have led me to Iquitos, to the middle of the rainforest, in this 5-week epic adventure where I started out in Morocco for 10 days and literally continued on through New York when I landed, onward to Peru for 2 weeks here in the rainforest, and then onward to southern Peru and Bolivia for our very own Ancient Alien tour. And so I just finished last night ceremony 3, ayahuasca ceremony 3. So the ceremonies, how they're going, it's the first one was an introduction of sorts, kind of a gauge, an assessment of kind of who we are, what we're trying to do, what's the right dosage, how we're going to be affected by this medicine. It's not a drug, it's a medicine. And the last 2 days have been a cleansing and purging portion of these 7 ceremonies. And in addition to the ceremonies of cleansing and purging, there's been ceremonies or actions we're taking with the maestros just in the present day, in the waking hours, where we're getting massages and taking plant remedies as drinks prescribed to us by the maestros and the maestras of the Shipibo tribe, in collection and concert of this cleansing that we're partaking in. And so that's now sort of complete, apparently, because now ceremony 4, which will begin in about it starts at 8 o'clock and it's about 3:30 now. So ceremony 4, 5, and 6 are the realignment ceremonies. So once we've been assessed and cleaned out thoroughly with energetic feelings, the traumas, physical ailments, the experiences we've had in our waking lives here in the material world, stored in our bodies and repressed as traumas and psychological issues and potential damage, and trying to really get used to what this ayahuasca is all about. That's now since done, and we've set the stage now for a realignment, or a realignment, with the one, with the universe, with this motion, this one true consciousness. But that's not to say there won't be more kind of cleansing that goes on, and some potential scary issues that we'll face under ayahuasca's teachings. It's interesting because as we're a group of 23, I think the facilitator is doing an excellent job with the blueprint, the schedule of this retreat center. It's perfect in terms of what exactly is scheduled and how much time there is, or not time really, for us to reflect. And when I say or not time really, the first 2 days were really kind of jam-packed, like really regimented, like this. We didn't really have enough time. And I think that's maybe purposeful too, because you want to have get cold feet, second thoughts. The more you kind of did and kept your mind busy and bonded the more, quickly you realize you're in the Maloka for the ceremony at 8 o'clock in the evening. And, the pre-yoga ceremonies leading up to, right just before the ceremony itself, really are helpful and well designed, I think. Always in hindsight. While we're doing them, I'm like, this hurts, but, it's not really the yoga I'm used to. But in hindsight, it's like, wow, thank God we did those poses today, because this really came in handy during the ceremony. So yeah, we had the vomitivo, which helped to, in a way, help us bond and get over our insecurities of purging and kind of the grossness of this ayahuasca experience and amongst strangers. Now that's just second nature. It's really not an issue at all. But it was one of the many kind of beginning things we did in this regimented schedule early on that helped us to get used to one another and really start to bond and appreciate each other. And now I'm seeing just today in itself at lunch, during the plant remedies before breakfast, we're really there for one another. Who's having a really hard time, who had some trauma that they had to relive the night before, who's struggling with answers, and, who has more questions, who saw who in a ceremony and why does that matter. And one of the many questions I've been throwing out there to the universe, to Mama Ayahuasca, is why are we randomly here? Why are the 23 random people that are all kind of convened here? What gives? Why all us? Why now? Why together? I don't know the answer, but it seems as if some of us are helping one another in a more profound way that we even realize. And just a week ago, I never met these people in my life. So that's really impactful. And I think the facilitators are just now, you're seeing their true worth in terms of, offering one-on-one counseling sessions and really kind of helping us think through, what the hell did I just experience last night? And how do I not know I'm going insane? Or, what the hell is this shit? A lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of, fear. And they're even there at night to hold your hand while you're going through the process if you need them. They're here to offer advice. They're here to empower you. And they're here to give you context. And today, and Adam, who, he's a medical, he's getting his PhD in medicine culture, I think, medicinal culture. And he did a talk later this morning, I should say, that kind of puts it in a bigger picture of, how did ayahuasca grow? And, what's the history about the Amazon and the indigenous people and kind of their trauma with, the conquistadors and industrialization in the 1900s, and kind of where we are today with sustainability and saving our rainforest. And, I'd like to put some words together as well to talk about it, because I think it's extremely profound. And I think every single one of us has a job to play now, not just here, but in the world. Like you watching this, I think we all have a role to play in becoming more balanced and rebalanced in terms of sustainability and reciprocity. That's the key word that we're learning in this retreat center. Is the indigenous people of the Amazon believe in reciprocity. It's Ayuni, it's called. Ayuni, A-Y-N-I, Ayuni. And the Quechua people and the Andes Mountains also believe in that. It's we're here to give and we're here to take, but we're doing it with purpose and with duty. And that's the one thing I was struggling with these past kind of few days, is why are the maestros and the maestras really like going all out for my benefit? They don't know me. I'm this Western person. I was behaving in kind of a, selfish way. Like, I'm here to take videos. I'm here to experience this. I'm here to travel. I'm here to, test this out and experience, ayahuasca and learn everything about the mysteries of the universe. It was very kind of superficial. And that's okay, because that's part of the process. Like, you break down to build back up again. And, part of that was, why are the maestros really kind of, this takes a toll on them. And then on top of that, they're up and they're giving us plant remedies and they're giving us massages yesterday, energetic work that they're doing for the ailments that we talked about, physical ailments. They're really dedicating their life to 23 of us right now, and they've left their homes for 2 months at a time, And I just couldn't kind of wrap my head around it, because in the Western world, it's like dog eat dog. It's, zero sum. It's, I give so I can take. It's a job, and in return, I'm getting something for me. It's selfish. But last night made me realize that these Maestros and Maestras are just they're invaluable. It's too light of a word. They are the conduit between the spirit, the oneness, Mama Ayahuasca herself, who's not the spirit. She's a spirit entity from the plants, but she's a powerful spirit. And us, and the material world, and even the Western world, us Westerners, right? Like, they're doing a duty right now, and it's a calling, and I get it now. I got it, because we needed them last night. And when they sing their Icaros, their songs that they sing in the ceremony, it's the plant vibrations. So, when they become shamans early in life, it's a calling. And, I want Adam to really go into detail about this, and I need to collect my thoughts as well, because he gave us a lot of information today about the way that the Amazonian people just over time believe in the world, and how it's very fundamentally different versus the way we believe in a world, here in New York City where I live, or wherever in the Western world, that those that can hear voices, for instance, that have audience clairvoyance, the clairvoyance through audio, like through hearing. This is where the spirituality, these kind of like psychicness, the psychic abilities, and like mediumship, and talking to those who have passed loved ones, and different skills, I guess, or powers, or gifts that we humans all have. We humans all have it, and 2020 is an era where we're waking up to it. I'm waking up every time I lose my job, and I'm in this kind of period of finding new work, which I'm in currently. My spiritual gifts strengthen significantly, and I'm on this journey of growth. Past life regression, participation I'm in, and reading as much as I can about all this that, others have experienced. And, the coincidences upon coincidences, and, they're just, to me, like, I call them fun party tricks, but, there's so many coincidences that got me physically to sit in this chair right now and talk to you. It's all part of a bigger picture. That's the oneness, the universe, the God entity. We are all part of it. We are a manifestation of the oneness. And the ego makes us individual. And what we do with Mama Ayahuasca, and again, if you watch my past video literally 24 hours ago, I'm now like kind of combative and saying, it's just a drug. It felt like a drug trip. Last night, I asked Mama Ayahuasca to show me who she is. And last night I asked Mama Ayahuasca to show me why she brought me here. And I was very insistent the entire time, under her spell's the wrong word, under her loving embrace. I kept insisting, show me why I'm here. Why am I here? What am I doing here? Well, Mama Ayahuasca showed me, and I'm now 99% sure. There's still that 1%, because we still have 4 more ceremonies to go. And there's so much more that's going to happen. And every person's experience is different. And every time you take ayahuasca, it's a completely new experience for that person too. So there's people who've taken it 100 times and still have not relived the same thing. So you have no idea what's going to happen when you get in on these ceremonies. And that's why the maestros are so important, because they're there to help you. They usher in the songs. And what I was trying to say, I was getting to, and I kind of went off tangent here, is that, in their societies, their cultures, they believe that their practice here is a calling. And if you have these gifts where you can, have this extrasensory perception from hearing, or your connection to, in this case, plants. Like, some people just have a natural connection to plant energies, and some people have natural connections to animals, like, you know, these psychics that can talk to animals, and some people have natural connections to, you know, rivers and mountains and other sort of beings. You know, sentient beings is what we learned today, that the power of reciprocity is that all sentient beings, not humans, but in addition to humans, not just humans, I should say, but in addition to humans, it's like anything that's alive, anything that has consciousness, plants, rivers, rain, the sky, you know, the wind. I mean, and this goes back to like Native American principles, like the energies of the wind, you know. So what these shamans do is they go off and to the rainforest, and they isolate, and they listen, and they learn, and they learn from the plants if there's a calling for them, and they learn, and they, from the plants, they get these songs, the vibrations. These Icaros are the songs of the plants. And I've said this multiple times, but now it's hitting home again. And this is why ayahuasca is so important, because the more you get into this, the more the teachings just kind of continue to evolve. And the facilitators keep saying that, you know, you'll still learn from years later from these experiences. So that's kind of like where I am trying to kind of be more open and aware of kind of what's going on here. We'll find out. And so the Icaros, they sing the songs of the plants, and every time they sing to you directly, when you sit up and you receive the Icaros. And as I mentioned, it was those wavy lines that were part of those designs of the bag that I purchased. When you see the Icaros, when you feel them, the magic starts to work. Ayahuasca's magic starts to work, and that's when you start to go into, well, I find anyway, the trance. And everyone's different. Like, some people have multiple scenes of the past, like a TV reel going through their mind. In my case last night, and I'll get to this now, third ceremony, and there's not much to really talk about because I'm really confused, but at the same time it was maybe more profound than the other two so far. I asked Mama Ayahuasca to show me who she is, and show me she did. I didn't start feeling the effects of ayahuasca right away, just like the night before, or the ceremony before, and I asked actually for a booster. And luckily this time I didn't throw up the first dose of ayahuasca right away like I did last time. That ceremony too was more that demonic kind of purging, getting rid of like this, I call it the bratty energy. I was this very childish emotions that were kind of coming out of me, and I was being disrespectful to the maestras. And I say disrespectful, I wasn't that bad. I wasn't, insulting them. But, I think in my experience, to me, I wasn't taking this sacred experience for the full value it is. And, very impatient, hurry up, come on. I want ceremony number one's experience again, where I'm flying around and everything was just joyous and happy. I'm getting all these great wisdoms, and I understand the universe, and why do I need to take more? Let me repeat that again, and it didn't work. So when Richard, the maestro, came to me last ceremony, they go around the Maloka circle. I mentioned before, he got up, he smoked a cigarette, he left the Maloka, and he walked to the bathroom. And I'm like, what the hell? And I wasn't even under the spell. I shouldn't say spell. I wasn't under the effect of Mama Ayahuasca at that point. I was still kind of sober, if sober is the right word, lucid, and just how I am now. And I was just impatient. Hurry up. Why are you going to the bathroom? Let's do this. I want that euphoric experience again. Hurry up. And that's obviously very disrespectful. That's just, it's the purge. I'm purging these low level, kind of low vibrational energies that, belong in this material world here. When Richard came around again yesterday, I was like, okay, nothing's working. I took 2 shots of it. I took the original one and the booster, and I haven't purged. So, okay, what's going on? Nothing's working. And so I thought, okay, well, I was even told by the facilitator I was really loud the night before because I, purging my anger, purging my brattiness. And I mean, it wasn't that bad. People were laughing, actually. It was, again, when we talk about this post-ceremony, everyone's very supportive, and it wasn't that bad. But, they said, if you're taking more, we don't want you to have outbursts and, disrupting others. And so I kind of sat back and thought about it. I was like, well, I get it. That's fine. That's good feedback, I suppose. But I was like, there must be something else. Like, the maestros must have been talking too, because I was not being respectful, so to speak. So I thought to myself, as Richard is beginning his Icaros, I said, you know what? I apologize in my head. I'm apologizing for my brattiness. I'm purging these low-level energies. I recognize what's happening. I'm respecting this process. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the efforts you're going through. I appreciate you helping me. I understand that this is not a zero-sum relationship. I'm not just taking from you. There's a reciprocity here. And I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm here to learn, and I'm here to surrender. I'm here to just kind of see what's in store and what my lessons are and what my mission should be. I'm open, right? Magic takes guts, and I'm here. And his Icaros came and went, and again, nothing. But then Benito came, the anaconda man, who I'm always still a little nervous about because I have a fear of snakes, and maybe he's going to bring in the demon that is the anaconda in my visions. But when Benito finished his Icaros, I put my head down, and that's when Mama Ayahuasca came. And let's talk about this, because this experience was not a drug trip. I'll say that again. This experience was not a drug trip. This was a being that is intelligent, that is compassionate, that is alive, and is here to help us when we're willing. And I just got goosebumps. She's beautiful. Mama Ayahuasca is a spirit energy that lives in the ayahuasca vine that started growing in the 1900s, apparently, when the Industrial Revolution started to really go overboard, especially in the Amazon rainforest. And Adam was talking about how the indigenous folks here in the Amazon, in the Peruvian area, and Iquitos in particular, because of the rubber trade, were enslaved. Missionaries were coming in, and if they couldn't get converted to Christianity, they were thought to be animalistic and maybe possibly non-human and demonic possibly, and they were sold as slaves apparently. So again, let's get some more clarity on this, but generally speaking, the indigenous folks were enslaved, those that weren't evangelicized, and they were meant to work in the rubber industry to extract the rubber plants for the Goodyear, Charles Goodyear, and those industrialists. And ayahuasca started growing. And then he was saying, Adam, today, that the slaves from, the African nations and those here kind of commingled. And in this time of severe trauma that they were enduring, they had their plant spirits, both in African culture and here, and they kind of commingled it, and like voodoo in Haiti. And this is partly why I'm like, this is a bigger story here, because my Morocco trip is dovetailing perfectly into this trip, is dovetailing perfectly in the Bolivia trip coming up. And, Peggy, who is the bachelorette that we celebrated in Morocco, she was my roommate during this time, and she's Haitian by descent. And we spent a lot of time after, our day was done in the room, in the hotel, talking about, the slaves of the past, like in New Orleans and in the Caribbean, who were so traumatized by being enslaved that they resorted to voodooism, and they used it for what it was, for their purposes, to cope. And that's how the idea goes, that the ayahuasca vine started growing in the 1900s and was discovered by man in this time. And now it's like it's scarce apparently because it needs to take 7 to 10 years to grow, and we're cutting it down really at a rapid pace. So they're here at this retreat center doing a sustainable practice on growing ayahuasca, and we're going to go through a permaculture tour. So hopefully I'll take a video and show you what that's about. So ayahuasca started growing. And, it's also kind of interesting because now we have this mushroom, Joe Rogan talks about psychedelic and DMT. A lot of people, a lot of thought leaders, a lot of influencers, just society here in the United States is becoming more and more open to marijuana and to mushrooms. It's the next thing that's going to get legalized. And, there's a lot of universities doing studies, Johns Hopkins, Harvard, they're really now beginning to look into this, about these natural remedies for post-traumatic stress disorder with soldiers coming back from war, depression, loneliness. Our disconnect with nature, our inability to kind of have a balanced work life, our lack of community, our disruption of the environment has massive lasting impact across the world. And the destruction of the rainforest is pretty significant. And again, I'll leave Adam to say a lot of those words. But one thing I didn't realize is that the rainforest, this Amazon jungle, sits on a desert. And the soil is not very fertile. So the minute you rip out the rainforest, like they're doing in Brazil, to clear land for cows and pastures, which, by the way, in ceremony 1, Mama Ayahuasca told me no red meat, just chicken and fish, no red meat, no cows. And so, the more and more they're clearing these rainforests in Brazil to make room for cows, the more that, and for agriculture, really, you only are going to get a few turns of crops before it becomes very fallow, the land. It's not fertile. Like, check it out. Look how, sandy this is. This is like beach sand. This isn't really soil, right? It's sand. And so the Amazon jungle sits on, all right, let's see if I can get this repositioned here. Bear with me one second. I think this is the right, yeah, it worked. All right. The Amazon rainforest sits on a desert land. And so the more we're clearing this, the harder it is to actually grow crops, like row crops. And what I find really interesting is, like I said, why are we all here? There's all these people kind of brought together from around the world. We have 2 people here who are permaculturists or studying permaculture. One is getting her PhD in the UK, and the other is a fireman who just wants to take permaculture courses, is very interested in it. He's also in the UK. So I think they're going to come away with this and really realize, how do I bridge what I've learned in the Amazon rainforest, just being immersed in this, understanding the power of these plants, how do I kind of bring it all together for the rest of the world to see or to learn? And in my case, how do I convey this to a mass audience? How do I use this for my next job opportunities? Do I start an NGO? Do I do a reverse NGO? That was one of my ideas, that, rather than bringing NGOs here to help, revitalize communities within the Amazon, maybe we need to take the wisdoms we learn here and reverse that NGO to America and capitalist societies and all this. And mind you, right, I'm a capitalist. I worked on Wall Street for 10 years. I was an investment banker. I studied engineering. I got my MBA. I worked for 4 Fortune Global 500 companies. I believe in capitalism. In theory, I'm a Republican, in theory, because I believe in a capitalist way. But maybe there's a way I can translate my past experiences and my careers and my, understanding of, what it's like to live in New York, for instance, and, social progress and social change, but also environmental change. Because since I was a freshman in college in 1998, now you can do the math, I wanted to hug trees. I'm a tree hugging capitalist. And so, how do I go from, what I've learned from the late 90s, where renewable energy wasn't even a thing, where sustainability, greenhouse effect, all that was just like a new kind of a budding term that, nobody really knew a lot about, into like a career that I have worked in the renewable energy industry. I've worked in the investment side. I've worked in the development side. I'm currently interviewing for other jobs in the renewable space. So, how do I take this knowledge I'm learning here in the Amazon with these wonderful people I'm spending an enormous amount of time with, and just really bonding, I think, to a very, very core sense? And how do I move that forward? How do we all move? How do I encourage you to do your part in helping balance and have this reciprocity? And it's a give and take. And Andrew, who I've talked about a lot so far on this, I like him a lot. He's a good guy. He's from Holland. He does design. His past career is like, industrial design. And he approached the grocery store chain apparently in his area. And he's now in charge of design of the grocery store, like just a ergonomic industrial design of how people shop for food in a new, novel way. And even Adam was saying that change is not something we force or we expect governments to just take care of. It's something where if you can introduce something new, then change happens as a result. So by introducing a new way of doing things, it's not as scary for people to embrace the change. People will accept it because it's new, novel, different, it's cool, it's useful. And in the case of the grocery store that Andrew's doing, it's, how do you interact with food better? How do you create a community around food at the grocery store? Do you have like a restaurant? Do you have a cooking school within the grocery store? Do you understand where your food's coming from? Is there a way you can learn about farm to table or pesticides, or why this banana tastes so much better than that banana, like taste tests or something? It's an interaction piece. And so that's kind of where this reverse NGO idea I'm coming up with, I think I just came up with it, is like, how do we empower us Americans or us capitalists or us, Western people to embody a way of being that they're doing already here in the Amazon. And Andrew was telling me that the Sacred Valley in Peru, the Urubamba region, which I've been to, that's where Ollantaytambo is, and you go through that way to get to Machu Picchu, they survive. The upper and lower valleys survive because they trade. And the upper valley can only grow and produce certain types of foods in the higher regions of the Andes. And the lower valley can produce only other certain types of foods. And so in order for them to have an abundance of both, they come together in the middle, and they rely on each other. They create a sense of trust and a sense of community, and they're in balance. It's a reciprocity. I give and take. So that's kind of the idea. It's like, how do we embody that sort of idea, that practice, in a more kind of everyday way in America or in wherever, North America or wherever, and then create community, a sense of belonging. It helps maybe to eradicate loneliness a bit better. Maybe you don't have to work so hard now to pay bills for things that maybe don't matter. Maybe you don't need that 7th pair of jeans or something, because now you know how much effort it takes for those jeans to be made in the first place. Maybe there's all these things that you start to rethink on your own. And I'm not here to tell you what's right and what's wrong. That's not my job. And I'm not here, again, disclaimer, I'm not here again to tell you that you need to do ayahuasca. That's not what the purpose of this is. Because it's a very, 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 very powerful thing. And you need the maestros, you need the Icaros, you need the setting, you need the facilitators, the therapists, you need the community as a totality of this experience. You're not just going to do it in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint, okay? Don't just do it somewhere in Burning Man. Don't pick it up in Icaros as a souvenir. Take this seriously, because it is scaring some people. But in a way where we need to see the light, we need to meet, our egos are going to die. Let's put it this way. There could be an instance where I die tonight, my ego goes away, I disassociate. That's going to be fucking scary. I already felt it last night. I was scared, and I still haven't gone to what happened last night. And I'll get to it. it's traumatizing, but it also helps to bring up things that have been repressed. And we need this community to talk it out. And I need to be away from, I was tempted to call somebody last night, and thank God I don't have internet, because I would have been like, oh my God, this is what I saw in my vision. This is crazy. I can't believe it. It makes no sense. And then I'm going to scare this person, and they're going to be like, what the hell? Like, you're tripping balls big time. I'm not ready to explain this yet to people, like, or to anybody, or to whoever came in my visions. So let's go. I went, once Benito kind of did his Icaros, I went down and slept, and Mama Ayahuasca came into me. She was in my essence. She was, she's something that, everyone sees her differently. She's how she manifests. And for me, she was multidimensional. She was a fabric of sorts. She was forest green with little, like, tiny little pink and green, light green and yellow little sparkles. And it was like a graphic kind of fabric, and it also kind of came in like a fern spiral. You know, when fern plants start to grow, they first curl and then they curl out. Like, that's what it was too. It was like these green little curls, and it moved this slowly, you know, very just slow. And she was consuming my whole body. She fixed my back again. I could feel her adjust my back, because I kind of misaligned it at yoga. So she crooked it out again. I was like, thank you. But then she was hitting me to here. I remember her coming this close to me, like right here. And I kept saying, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. And I tried to hold my rings and ground myself and say, this is just a trip, or whatever's going on. I'm okay. And then I repeated, magic takes guts, from Laughing Lotus. Thank you, Dana Trixie Flynn. Magic takes guts. And surrender. I need to surrender. I'm okay. But I was really scared. And I was like, this was the first time I was scared, because last time when the demon was in me, I was like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm not scared of this fucking demon. But like, this time around, I was scared, and I was ready to call the facilitator, Adam, and say, hey, hold my hand. But I got through it because she eased up. She got as far and respected the fact that I was scared and eased up. But what she did was she purged me, and I felt, that's when the big massive vomit came out, like to the core of my, diaphragm and in my guts. But also, as I mentioned, I'm on my period, and like I just felt like a flow coming out as well. And when I woke up, I was like, wait, nothing happened. But in that, I got cleansed both directions. And then I could feel something come in my belly, as if my purpose, she brought me here because I'm supposed to birth something. And to me, I literally thought it was, I need to have a baby. I need to have a baby girl. And I said, well, just one, I want two. And she goes, fine, you could have another one. He'll be a boy, but this is why you're here. I'm calling you here because you need to have this baby. And then I thought, oh, well, I kind of knew who this person who was supposed to be the father, and that's where I was like, I need to call him, whatever. But I've been told, hold off. That's not exactly what's happening here. It's not literal. Whatever comes through is not literal. So that was today's wisdom after lunch. It's like, hold your horses. It's not literal. But I was seeing images of Park Avenue in New York, and I was seeing like my parents, and I remember just feeling a love for them. I was like, I just love them. I love my brother. I love my parents. And then I saw one vision of my past. When I was young, I got hit by a car when I was 2, and I got rushed to the hospital. I was in the hospital for a week, and I could see the ambulance in Coney Island Hospital in Brooklyn. And Mama Ayahuasca told me, you were spared, you were saved, because you need to give birth to this baby. This is your calling. And I still was confused. I'm like, I don't understand why you called me here. I still don't get it. Why am I here? And that's it, is to, I have to birth something. So let's find out what that means. But then I came up out of it. I was very kind of connected to a few people in the room. It felt very kind of serious when we all came out of it. I felt very connected to my neighbor Marcus. I felt very connected to someone across the room, and I felt very connected to one person who was just kind of standing up and needed a hug. We're not supposed to interact with everyone in the Maloka because everyone's going through their own thing, and we don't want to commingle our energies. I walked away from that. I went back to my cabin just here, and I kind of thought a while, and I was like, wow, that's my calling. I have to have a baby. Like, okay, this, what happens if I don't want to? Like, and it felt really comfortable to come back to this world. It felt really comfortable to ignore this and say, okay, fine, thanks for the message, but I don't feel comfortable moving forward. I like staying in my own space, in how things are. I don't want to embrace change. I just want to be how I am, and I just want to go forward. And after the talk with Adam today about, you know, the Amazon rainforest and the history of the cultures and reciprocity and all this, and seeing the bigger picture, I feel like I have no choice but. And tonight's ceremony, I'm going to ask, show me how I do this. Show me how I get the confidence to reinvent, reimagine, you know, re-energize, revolutionize. Like, how do I bring together all the unique experiences I have as a professional and a person, and to building something really meaningful for everyone, for all of us, for the world, for, you know, the environment, and for the plants. Remember, save the plants, protect the plants. Oh yeah, the baby was, yeah. I'll say that part because I don't want to really share that just yet. But yeah, and then the other thing that I found really interesting was, again, back to the coincidences. Like, what's synchronicity? Why does everything seem like a coincidence? And again, she, just like the lottery ticket where you take the scratch off numbers and I saw behind the foil, she showed me that, you know, mathematically, there are no such things as coincidences. I've said this before. I learned this in college when I was in engineering school. Mathematically, coincidences don't exist. It's just mathematically impossible. So she was showing that to me, that like behind the veil, this material world, that what you think are synchronistic things and coincidences, oh, that's so cute, look how funny that is, and oh, look at these like series of coincidences. Behind it is like, it's like a connection, right? Like all these series of events are connected as if it's a vine. To me, it looked like a vine. And then there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of connected vines that are all twisted and commingled. And you can see the humongous picture behind the scenes that everything is related. And these are not coincidences. This isn't just like, oh, how cute. There's something here. There's a path and a plan. And I asked Adam, I said, okay, well, we talked about like the indigenous kind of the destruction of the rainforest over time, and like all this bad shit that's been happening, and you know, we're at a tipping point for our ecosystem, and you know, what the fuck, right? Like, what is it? And like, what do we do? Like, we feel powerless and helpless. And I said, well, I raised my hand, I said, well, aren't we learning that this oneness, this consciousness that is oneness, isn't everything as perfect as it should be, and everything is at the right place at the right time? I mean, that is exactly what this is. We're on the right plan, we're at the right place in the right time, and there's no such thing as time, and we shouldn't be impatient because we're exactly where we need to be at the right moment. So that's the past, that happened, but it was supposed to happen because everything is just predetermined in that respect. You know, why does that matter? Like, yeah, it sucks that this happened, but, you know, so what? Maybe it was part of the plan, you know, of a bigger thing, a bigger kind of revolution that's happening. And he said, well, we still have personal responsibility. And we still can't just sit back idly and just let the plan happen and unfold. It's up to us, because we're all vessels of this consciousness. We are part of the consciousness. And that's why ego is important, because the ego makes it ours. We identify as mine. This is my duty, my responsibility, my calling. This is who I am. This is where I get satisfaction. This is where I need to do my part in the bigger picture. So that's why the ego can be important in this respect, because we need to have both. It's a duality. Like, we have to lose the ego to understand the oneness, and to have unconditional faith to this oneness, this compassionate being that is the universe, that is God, that is anything, this omnipresent, you know, motion that I happen to see, you know, ceremony 1. But we also are individuals on purpose, because we have to do our part to do the change. and to be in balance, and to have reciprocity, and to respect the spirits and the consciousness of everything around us, and to be just better, more mindful of everything we do. That's it. That's all I have. I think there's more to do, but and this will always be an ever evolving thing. And again, disclaimer, don't do this on your own. I would, if you feel like this is your calling, only if you feel this is your calling, for reasons you know, then let's explore it. But be very careful. This stuff can be very fucking scary. Or it may not work. Let's put it that way. It may not work because you don't have the eat gross. You may take it, you may see like, oh, okay, fine, like it's tripping like, mushrooms and shit. But like, it may not work. So you're wasting your time on a scarce resource, because we basically are cutting down all these vines and it's not growing fast enough. So, and apparently it's all going to Brooklyn, as I mentioned, or New York. But on that note, let's kind of keep going with this. Come follow me on, number 4. It's 4 o'clock now. So, in about 4 hours, I'm going to be, working with ayahuasca again. Not taking it, I'm working with her. My intentions are to help show me how to, whatever my calling is about birthing something, whatever this message was last night, show me how I do it. Show me the steps, my blueprint that I need to take. Show me the confidence I'll need to do this without any sort of hesitation or insecurity. Show me undying faith, unquestionable faith. I still don't have it. It's still like, what the fuck? And partly why I don't have it is because last night when I got scared, I retreated back to this material world. I said, I want to come back. I want to come back here. I want to stay here. This is comfortable. This is familiar. I know it. I don't want to go any further. So that's where you need that's where you need the faith. And that's, I think, where now religion makes sense to me, and where, all these religions are basically saying the same thing in more or less terms. And it's about finding your inner self. It's about knowing that the power is within through this oneness. And it's having faith and reciprocity, treating one another well, and yourself well, and the earth well. And there's a bug. So there's no coincidences. That butterfly that's flying, maybe it's something. Maybe it's a sign. Anyway, thank you for listening. This is Embolden Adventures. Sarah here, signing off, but we'll talk again soon. Bye.